Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. You know, money can get complicated, and when you add in a friend or a family member, things can get awkward real quick. And so that's why my friend and fellow money nerd Allison and I started a podcast called This Is Awkward. In the show, we take calls from just regular people who are dealing with some of the really awkward money situations that we all find ourselves in. So today I wanted to share with you all a call from one of our most recent episodes about a money situation that got weird between friends.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into today's caller. Chris, let it rip. Let it.
Let it rip.
No, well, let me redo that.
I'm gonna let this play. Nope, it's staying in there. It's staying in there. This play. I'm letting this play button rip right now.
Hi, Chris and Allison. First of all, love your podcast, and here's my awkward money story. So my boyfriend and I are starting an Airbnb. His best friend from childhood also hosts on Airbnb and knew that we were going to start doing the same. So he reached out to us and he said, hey, when you sign up for your account, will you let me know so that I can send you a referral link so that he can collect $400 and then he would give us $40. Which is what Airbnb offers. So we responded back to him and we said, yeah, like we'll do it, but we'd like to split the full $440 because we think that's fair. And he responded back and said, no. But when we then were like, well, this is what makes sense and it's fair to do it that way, he responded with, well, when you were starting your career, do you remember when we helped you? And it was a really low blow. And also we were thinking back to when, you know, my boyfriend started his career in his business, or this friend never did anything for him. So it really just didn't make sense. And so then the friend decided that he would rather have somebody else do it for him that would give him the full $400 and, you know, let us go on our merry way and not use his referral link. So we decided we weren't going to do it because he was so persistent about keeping the $400 and only giving us $40. So we thought that was really strange, and I don't know if we're just being irrational. Hopefully you guys can help us out. But we just thought it'd be fair to split the whole thing, you know, helping each other out. And at this point, I think we've just decided we're going to throw it under the rug and not even mention it again. But knowing this friend, he's probably going to bring it up, and yeah, so help.
Well, thanks to our anonymous caller for sending that in. And you know what, this one, Allison, my thought was, man, how are they going to bring up old stuff? Like, that's not the way friendships work. You don't have to bring up old things that happened in the past. And you're like, well, remember,
like I supported you.
Remember when I did this? So you technically owe me. That's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah. Well, I think before we dive into this, we should just break down a little bit in case you don't know like what an affiliate link is. Essentially, this other friend has an affiliate link where if this woman signs up to host an Airbnb will be like, hey, thanks for referring her. Here's $400 for you. And then this guy just only wants to give her $40 instead of half, which would be $200.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you think? Who do you think is right in this situation? The friend who wants all of the referral or the couple who thinks they should get half of the money?
I mean, I'm very much a like keep it fair person, but that's how I grew up. My parents were always very fair in terms of like, especially gift giving, like the amount spent and everything like that. So I'm very much a keep it fair. It's not like they're willingly going in and signing up for the link because he said, I get $400. So to me, it makes sense to get half because then you at least get $200. But then I also think, dude, if like if you're not, you either get $200 or you get no dollars. Like, why does that not seem like a win?
Exactly. Because
even if they split it. Because
they were going to sign up regardless. And it sounds like he was like, hey, can you use my link? And so to me, it's like, look, you're interrupting me for what I was about to do. And I have to now wait for you to send me this link. So it feels like splitting it only makes sense. Like what's in it for me to wait for your link other than just to make sure you get some money? I mean, that's not to be blunt about it, but that's kind of how I feel.
No, see, I mean, if the situation was between us, let's say I have the Airbnb, I have the affiliate link that's $400, and I'm like, hey, well, if you're already signing up for this, use this link. Would you tell me, hey, I want half?
You know what? I guess that's good. That's a good point. I don't think I would just come out and be like, give me half of that money. I probably wouldn't do that.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. But I also think I would be like, hey, use this and I'll Venmo you half. Like, but that's just, I think it's a personality thing.
Yeah,
So this guy is probably thinking, well, they're already signing up. See, and then it sounds like Airbnb was already going to give them $40 just to sign up. So he's thinking, well, what's the difference if they get $40 no matter what? They'll get the same amount. So that's the way he's thinking about this. Like,
okay, all right, you're bringing me around to see where this guy's coming from. But okay,
yeah.
But I was gonna say, I was
gonna say I can see where he's coming from, but I still don't think I would react the way he did by almost being defensive. When you bring up the past, that's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, it is. And I think if in this situation, it makes sense that he's like, okay, you're going to sign up here, just use my link. And if the friend would have been like, okay, thanks, and just signed up, it would have been no big deal. And he's like, here's $40. But if this was us, Allison, and roles were flipped and I was giving you the link and you're like, hey, how do you feel about splitting it? I would say, okay. I wouldn't even think twice.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, hey, I know you're going to give me 40, but would you mind? How do you feel about just splitting it? I would say, okay,
yeah,
because it's free money either way. Like I'm not doing anything to get the money.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you're just giving a link. And really, I think about this. I've done this. I have been in a similar situation in my business. I just didn't request the money. Like I think I just signed up for this payment platform called Thrivecart, essentially, and I used one of my friends. Actually, she's married to my cousin, so family's affiliate link, and I think she got like maybe $200, and I was like, oh yeah, let me use your affiliate link so you get extra money. I also didn't ask for part of that money, but there was no way I was going to make money anyway by signing up for this. I was spending money.
True.
But to me, I'm like, oh well, if some of my money can go to to someone else and just as like a little bonus, that's wonderful. So I think it's about the way you see it, right? I think it comes down to the way you're seeing it. I don't think it was inappropriate for them to ask for half of it.
No, I don't think so.
I do think it was inappropriate for him to bring up like, well, remember when, and dig into that. I think that was clearly a defense mechanism, probably a little bit childish, because I think deep down maybe he thought like, okay, maybe I should be giving them half. But he didn't want to.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like this situation is a little unique in that there were stages, there's parts of this where decisions were made that kind of affect the overall outcome. So it started out with him saying, hey, could you use my link if you're going to sign up? And so their response, they had the opportunity to say, no, we're not going to, but they're like, yeah, sure. Why not? If it helps you out, it's not a big deal. The next step was him saying, okay, if you use this, I'll give you the 40 you were going to get. And then them kind of countering with, how do you feel about splitting it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like
that's where it went wrong.
That's where it went wrong. That's where the friend decided to kind of get a little defensive about it. And just instead of just being like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And kind of just leaving it at that. It kind of felt like he had to like justify why he was saying no, which we feel like that sometimes, right?
And I think this can happen really easily with friendships whenever money is involved, and relationships in general, because money is so tricky, and some of us feel like we don't have enough of it. Some of us feel like we have enough, but we have to hold on to it or else we won't be able to get any more back. And so it sounds like whenever you have any type of situation where money is involved and there's not usually money involved, it sounds like this is the first time they've ever had an issue with finances in terms of money seeping into their relationship. That's whenever we don't know how to move forward from there, because it's uncharted territory.
It really is. Like it's almost like having any type of discussion, when it gets off of the surface level, you need practice with that. I think you need practice with the particular person who you're engaging in the conversation with, because you can have like you and I, we can talk about money very openly because we've already established that that's something we can do. We've talked it, we've kind of tested the waters. We both know we're okay with being very open financially when we talk about numbers. But that doesn't mean now that I'm comfortable with this and I've had experience talking with you about it, I can go turn to my next friend and have the same conversation with them, just because they're not ready for that. They don't have the, I guess, like the background, the experience, the history to go off of to be comfortable in that situation.
Exactly. So I think that boundaries were maybe not crossed here. Well, maybe he crossed a boundary. I guess he probably did. But I just think that this type of situation can basically be replicated in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Take Airbnb out of it, throw in you're going to dinner with friends and you intentionally ordered something less, but everyone wants to split the check evenly and you're sitting here thinking, I ordered the salad and the water because I bought a budget, right? You're put in this uncharted territory to talk about this thing that is so personal and emotional and you're not really sure how to go forward.
You're listening to this podcast because you want to make better decisions about your money. But one area of our finances that most of us neglect is what happens after we die. If you have children or pets, own property, or want to decide how you are cared for in a medical emergency, you need a will or a trust no matter how old you are. I'm always looking for solutions to help make tackling these financial tasks easier, and that is why I decided to partner with Trust and Will. At trustandwill.com, for as little as $39, you can nominate guardians for your children, determine who gets your stuff, and plan for future medical care in as little as 15 minutes. And you get 10% off plus free shipping by visiting trustandwill.com/popcorn, or just go and click the link in the show notes.
Let's talk about what to do. Like, what do you think? And when that situation comes up and you feel like maybe you are being treated unfair, or you're not, you do feel like someone is being nitpicky, or you feel like somebody is, going to the past to justify their request, how do you think that should be handled?
I think you have to start with making a judgment on how important is this situation to you. I think that's where I would start. And like, is it worth it? Like, is it that important to me or that big of a deal that I want to kind of continue this conversation? Or is it something where it's like, you know what? I don't really care. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter to me. And just say, fine, I'll agree with you. $40, fine. Like, you have to make that judgment call, because sometimes it really is worth it to kind of dive into this and have a bigger conversation. And sometimes it's really like, it would probably be a waste of your time and probably add a lot more stress than you really feel that situation is worth.
Yes, but I also think, though, on that note, that it's also important to not teach someone that you can be taken advantage of. So, like, true. Let's say that they caved and they were like, okay, fine, just give us the $40 and you keep $360, right? Well, are you teaching him that they can be taken advantage of during, from here on out? So I don't know. I always want to caution that as well. However, I think overall you're right. You need to think about, like, is this a $30,000 problem or is this a $30 problem? Like, is this really worth getting into, or can I let it slide? Or can I just say, you know what? We're not going to complicate things by dealing with this. We're just going to go with the original link as planned. We'll get our $40. You save your special affiliate link for another person.
Yeah, and I think making that statement really does make a clear boundary. Now, that doesn't mean the other person's going to be happy with it, but you've set your line on, you know what, this is getting a little too messy. I'm not comfortable with this. I'd rather not get into this. And then now they know this is just not something that a conversation you want to be engaged in with them. And
this is something my mom always says, and she did not come up with this. It's actually from someone named Byron Katie. But she says, is this my problem? Is this their problem? Or is this God's problem? So once you draw that boundary, if they are not happy with it, it is no longer your problem. It is their problem. And you don't need to solve other people's problems. So once you say no to something that has to deal with uncomfortable money conversations and someone's coming back at you, kind of justifying like they did, or maybe someone might in the future, that's no longer your problem. That's their problem. So you don't need to worry about it. Although she tells me that advice because I have issues with with worrying about other people's problems. She says, is this their problem? Is this your problem? Or is this God's problem? And I say, it is my problem because it bothers me. She's like, no, Allison, it's not. So
no, I love that because sometimes we tend to hold on to things. So no, I love that saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like our caller, their feeling at the end of this is like they're just gonna kind of just let this, they said, throw it under the rug and not even mention it again. Just kind of act like the problem never happened.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Do you have any other advice for them on how to go forward with this now that they've kind of hit a wall with this person?
I think to just drop it. You know, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a small money problem. It's a small money awkward relationship, to just drop it. And then, you know, she's saying, I think he's going to bring it up again. And if he does bring it up again, I would just say something like, man, I thought we were past this.
Ooh, that's it. That's the perfect shutdown statement right there. Because then you put it all on them. Like, are you going to be petty and keep trying to have this conversation that we're done with?
Exactly. So, man, I thought we were past this. Done. Because that's showing it's not my problem anymore. This is your problem. Ooh. You're having issues with it. You deal with it. I've dealt with it on my side. And you can't control if someone else deals with their emotions and their issues. You cannot control that. As much as sometimes we like to try to control it, you can't.
Very true. Oh, I love that. I'm not adding anything else. I love that. That was a great way to put that.
So if you ever text me and you're like, can we change the recording time because of an issue that came up, I'm going to say, Chris, I thought we were past this rescheduling conflict situation. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it could be used in so many situations.
It really could.
So this is what we do over on This Is Awkward, twice a month, every month. And if you want to come join us, you can just head over into the podcast app that you're listening to this show on right now and just search for This Is Awkward, or just go to the show notes. I'll have a link in there for you as well. And you know, we would just love to have you come join us for some more awkward conversations. And you can be a part of a future episode by giving us a call over at 707-200-8259. You can anonymously share with us your awkward money situation. Or if you don't want to call us, maybe you're not comfortable leaving a voicemail, you can always go find us on Instagram. Just look for This Is Awkward Podcast and just send us a DM over there. As always, I appreciate you joining me here for, I guess this time, an awkward bag of popcorn. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Your boy keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.